In this section we're going to be looking at conditional formatting. So first of all, what is conditional formatting? Conditional formatting is where we tell Excel to vary the formatting, the color or style of a cell depending on its value or depending on the result of a formula. But for the most part we're going to start off this video by looking at changing the color or formatting of a cell dependent on its value. The best way to explain this type of formatting is just to jump in with an example, and we're going to look at some of the features involved with conditional formatting. Here I have a list of data. It is the total sales figure for a number of our transactions, and some are higher than others. As a sales manager, I may be interested in knowing what are the top 10 sales that we've made this month, and then once I know what those top 10 sales are, I might be able to look at who's made those top 10 sales, how many units, what was the unit cost on those sales. So I have a few different ways of trimming down that data, and I could do it manually and just look through and find the top 10 in some sort of manual way. But another way is to use conditional formatting. So to start with, I'm going to select the total sales column. Now because I'm using a table, I have this ability to select one column of the table. To do that, I'm going to hover over the table header until my little down arrow appears. When it does, I can simply click on it and all of the information in that column is selected, but only the data, not the table header and not any further than the table itself. I only want to highlight certain cells within the column. So next up I move to my conditional formatting drop-down. Here already the tooltip is giving us some indication of what we can do with conditional formatting. There's many different types of conditional formatting. We can highlight cell rules, top and bottoms, we can apply data bars and color scales and icon sets. But we'll look at all those in a bit more detail in a second. Let's start off with something simple like our top-bottom rule. As discussed, in this example I'm interested in the top 10 values. So Excel has provided me with an easy shortcut to find my top 10 values or top 10 items. I'll click on the item and Excel gives me a suggested formatting option. Well, there's two variables here. One is whether I want to highlight the top 10, or potentially I can change this value to highlight the top 20 or the top 5. Let's keep with the top 10 values for now. I also have a number of different formatting options. By default we have the light red fill with dark red text, but because I'm interested in the top 10 sales, that seems more like a positive number. I'm going to choose to highlight it with the green fill. And as you can see, anything I change in this drop down is automatically visible within the sheet. I can now click OK and just confirm the result of my formatting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, another 4 there, and 2 values, that makes 10. Now we could have arranged this formatting by finding those top 10 values manually and then highlighting them in green with the green font manually. But the important factor with conditional formatting is it is dynamic, it is live, it continues to evaluate which are the top 10 within my range. So let's say I've made a mistake somewhere along the line with my calculations, and in fact this sale of a desk, we didn't actually sell 2 of them, we only sold 1 of them. My simple formula has updated and reduced the total sale value from nearly 500 to 275. And also the formatting has dropped off. This is because this sale no longer qualifies as being in my top 10. There will still be 10 values selected, but a new top 10 value will have appeared in my list. So that's how to create a simple conditional formatting. But let's have a look at editing my conditional formatting. I go back to my conditional formatting drop-down, and instead of taking one of the pre-selected routes, I need to scroll all the way down to Managing Rules. When I click on this button, I will enter the Conditional Formatting Rules Manager. This manager will tell me all the rules that are currently available in a certain scope. By the scope we mean the area of the workbook that is affected. So at the moment we have formatting rules for this table. but I might be interested in formatting rules for this worksheet or for a current selection, just the cells that I'm working with at the moment. And in fact, if I have conditional formatting on other sheets, I can view that conditional formatting as well. Let's just stick with this worksheet. We only have one conditional formatting rule anyway. From here, I can choose to edit that rule. For example, I can change my top 10 to top 20. Click OK, and Apply or OK to confirm the change. Let's click Apply. From within the Conditional Formatting Rules Manager, I also have the ability to delete a rule. I simply press the delete button and click OK, and my rule is deleted. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to undo that deletion and leave it in place. I want to leave that formatting in place and apply a new rule to show more functionality within the Conditional Formatting Manager. Let's highlight cells that are greater than 400. And this time I'm going to leave the light red fill. Now you'll notice that I have two rules occurring concurrently, and there is some overlap between these two rules. Some of the values that are above 400 are also in my top 10. So to tell Excel how to manage these two rules, I return back to my manager. And from here I can control which of these rules is applied first. And to do that, I simply select on the rule that I want it to take precedence, and then I use the arrow buttons to push that rule to the top. Now I know that the most important, or the primary rule that will be applied, will be the top 10 rule. And after that, anything that is above 400 will be highlighted also. And I can again reverse this and return to my original priority listing. The final functionality we have is to delete conditional formatting. We can do that by entering the Manage Rules options, or we can go to simply Clear Rules. From within Clear Rules, I can clear rules for selected cells. That will only affect any cells that I have selected at this moment, or clear rules from the entire sheet. To keep things simple, I'm just going to clear the rules from the entire sheet. And so in this video, we've looked at setting up new conditional formatting rules, observing how those rules are live, and as we make change to our data, the formatting within the cell will update. We've looked at editing those rules and, importantly, how to remove those rules when we no longer want them.